Well, it's the Charlotte Hornets and the New York Knicks, and we're set for the introduction of the Hertz starting lineups.
Features the Charlotte Hornets and your New York Knicks. Here are tonight's starting lineups. First for Charlotte, at guard at 5'3" from Wake Forest, number 1, Muggsy Bogues. At guard at 6'5" from Illinois, number 13, Kendall Gill. At forward at 6'7" from UNLV, number 2, Larry Johnson. At forward at 6'5" from Georgetown, number 55, David Wingate. And at center at 6'10" from Georgetown, number 33, Alonzo Mourning. The trainer is Terry Koppler, assistant coaches Bill Hanslick and T.R. Dunn, and the head coach, Alan Bristow. And now, please welcome your New York Knicks. At guard at 6'6" from Kansas State, number 20, Rolando Blackman. At guard at 6'2" from UNLV, number 50, Greg Anthony. At forward at 6'10" from Pittsburgh, number 54, Charles Smith. At forward at 6'9" from Virginia Union, number 34, co-captain Charles Oakley. And at center at 7 feet from Georgetown, number 33, co-captain Patrick Ewing. The head trainer is Mike Saunders, the assistant trainer Tim Walsh, assistant coaches Dick Carter and Jeff Van Gundy, and the head coach for the Knicks, Pat Riley.
For the Knicks, as we discussed earlier, it has been an up and down existence in recent weeks, and our Bruce Beck caught up to Knicks coach Pat Riley at practice earlier today and talked about the recent problems.
I think we have been consistently inconsistent in a number of areas, and I think that is one of the reasons why you know, we're up and down in games, especially after big wins. So I don't know exactly. Sometimes a coach gets a real good read on his team, and you never know. You just don't know how we're going to come tonight. But I do know that at the Garden we have not really played well since the Portland game or the Seattle game. That's a long time ago. And somewhere we just got to have a game at home, you know, where we're going to come out hard. We're going to play one from the first minute to the last minute and get a W.
Well, Marv, it's clear that Pat Riley and the avid Knicks fans are in accord. The inconsistency is the big subject when the Knicks are discussed these days.
Yes, consistently inconsistent, as Pat expressed it. A look overhead, brought to you by the Upper Deck Company. Nobody does basketball like Upper Deck. The officials, Jack Neese, Derek Stafford, Gary Benson. Knicks control the tip as we get underway. Nice look by Oakley getting to Blackman, and he is rebuffed, knocked out of bounds by Wingate.
I think there should be a little anger on the part of the Knicks for this game tonight. The Knicks were disappointed in having their winning streak stopped here last time these two teams met. And the Knicks are hearing inconsistency, you know, with all their friends and people who comment to them as they walk the streets, just as you and I hear, Mark.
Are people screaming the word inconsistency at you, John?
Yes.
Ewing had it knocked away, and here comes Bogues. Finding Kendall Gill. However, they're talking about your broadcast performance. They're talking about the ball club.
Oh, I have no idea that. Thank you.
Blackman coming off the pick, going to the rolling hook, and the game is tied at 2. Larry Johnson and David Wingate. Alonzo Mourning on the front line with Muggsy Bogues and Kendall Gill in the backcourt, and a foul is called. That's the first on Charles Oakley, who comes off a 16-minute performance Monday against Phoenix, showing only zeros. No shot attempts. That was it. Gill for Bogues. Wingate played by Smith. There was a pick and roll that was broken up. Mourning on the recovery, and he's called for a travel. It will not count. Alonzo Mourning, incidentally, is, you can see the thumb on the left hand, playing with an injury. Able to hang in, though. Last night, only 5 for 15, 19 points in that last second loss to the Atlanta Hawks. That game in Charlotte, 102-100 on a tipping at the buzzer by John Concat. Ewing getting position. And the Knicks lead 4-2.
And closer to the basket with each move.
The loss last night, third straight by Charlotte. They were beaten by Houston, San Antonio, and by Atlanta. Charlotte led by 7 last night with 5 minutes to play, and the Hawks came from behind. That's an illegal defense detected against the Knicks, so that is the warning. And the Hornets will get the new 24.
David Wingate is in the starting lineup tonight, as he was last night. Johnny Newman had occupied the shooting forward position for several games before that. Johnny does not do any rebounding, though, and he's coming off the bench tonight. He did not play in the first meeting.
Mourning tripped up. Foul on Smith. Johnny Newman, the one-time New York Knicks, sat out in early December. He was sidelined by a broken left hand. The Knicks with a 4-2 lead. 2 minutes gone by. Wingate with a pass to himself, but it got deflected, so no travel was called. Blackman tried to go left on Gill, who stayed right with him. Ewing fouled by Mourning.
What was nice about that sequence was Patrick Ewing didn't even get distracted by his relative closeness to the basket for a jump shot, something he would do many, many times this season. He looked to pass to get some motion started in the offense, and then it occurred, and as it turned out, he got the return pass.
And they're calling that foul on Wingate, who reached in as Mourning tried to contest against Ewing. Knicks with a 5-2 lead. Patrick Ewing, 35 minutes against Phoenix on Monday afternoon here. 13 of 22 for a season high of 35 points.
Now, what characterizes the Charlotte Hornets is their passing game. They passed the ball several times before the shot attempt, hoping to get the Knicks big men also away from the boards.
Ewing got a piece of that one. Blackman rejected. Mourning with the block. Ewing for Blackman. Over Mourning. Going to the hook once again. Rolando's hit 2 of those here in the early going, and the Knicks with a 7-2 advantage. Larry Johnson has not seen much of the ball at the start. Anthony saw the opening, but the Hornets able to get back. Smith posting up, draws a double team. Ewing, yes. Well, the Knicks are off to a sharp start. They have a 9-2 lead and a 20-second timeout being taken by Alan Bristow.
Good ball movement characterizing the Knicks opening minutes now. Mourning daring Ewing to take that shot. He didn't even put his hands up, so Patrick had plenty of time to relax and size up the hoop. Ewing looking to pass the ball. Mourning thinking his presence is going to psych out Blackman. He didn't pursue him very hard. It's amazing, Marv. It's hard to think this, but Mourning looks like he's in the 4th quarter right now. He looks a little fatigued almost. I was talking to Mike Jaminski, who's on the bench, still coming off the injured list next week, hopefully, and he said Mourning, of course, not having been in training camp, really may not hit the rookie wall of fatigue until later in the season. He thought about now might be the time it would hit him, but he looks a little slow out there.
Good hustle by Oakley, and the Knicks take over off that turnover. Smith through the foul, yes, and it counts. Charles Smith will go to the line looking for a 3-point play.
Well, this is the big matchup that favors the Knicks. Smith at 6'10", dealing with Wingate at 6'5". They started out in the last game like this. The only problem for the Knicks was Charles Smith shot 3 for 11. So he wasn't a problem. But now the adjustment is made by Alan Bristow as Kenny Gaddison comes in. He's got a lot of muscle, and it's a whole different ball game for Charles Smith with the body of Gaddison to deal with.
Foul on Wingate is second, and Gaddison, who played well against the Knicks in that earlier meeting here at the Garden, has come on for the first time. Knicks with a 12-2 lead. Morning. Well, the Hornets had not scored for over 3 minutes before that hook by Alonzo Mourning. Knicks lead 12-4. Ewing making it look very easy going inside for a 14-4 Knick lead.
And he keeps going closer to the basket. He's adjusted his moves as he did the other day against the Suns.
I recall that last meeting, Patrick Ewing under the weather going up against his buddy Alonzo Mourning. Forbes was able to drill it home. And Patrick did not feel any better when he was accidentally hit by Mourning. Took a real shot and went down, had to sit out for a while. Forbes from Mourning, who lost it.
I'm amazed that Mourning caught that pass with all of the traffic involved. Vogue's looking to accelerate the offense. Mourning gets that ball. Charles falls down because he feels that's the thing to do to attract the officials' attention and draw offensive fouls.
Delay of game warning called on Charlotte. Mourning had knocked the ball away, not allowing the Knicks to inbound. That prompted the reaction from the crowd as you were watching the replay. Anthony with the room. Yes. The Knicks are off to a fast start. They've hit 7 of their first 10, and they lead 16-6. Johnson with the step. And Blackman able to handle the outlet, move down. Charlotte got back. Blackman called for traveling. And now a timeout taken by the Knicks. 6:55 remaining in this first quarter. The Phoenix Gorilla has been imported and has been put off the court after missing 2 stuffs. Little gardenitis for the Gorilla, John.
Marv, that could be
a 16-8 Knick lead. And here is Ewing. Alonzo Mourning is called for the foul. I can't accept the Gorilla here in New York. You know, we see the Gorilla in Phoenix doing all kinds of insulting routines against the city of New York. And here he is in New York earning money. Now you realize that. All kinds of cynical type repertoires in Phoenix.
Well, Marv,
it's showbiz. I know.
I agree with you, actually, and the Gorilla has proven to be valuable to the Phoenix area.
Yes.
They have adopted him and adopted him.
But in Phoenix, they accept anything, John. You have to realize it's not a very sophisticated sports city.
I personally love the chicken.
Okay.
And I miss the chicken.
Let's get off the subject of the Gorilla, John. You do not want to comment? Is that?
Yeah, the chicken makes me laugh. The Gorilla, I don't understand. I don't understand the Gorilla.
Rolando Blackman extends to a 20-10 Knick lead. Gaddison being played by Smith. And here's Johnson to the fadeaway. Larry Johnson hitting and cuts it to a 20-12 lead. Oakley, rare shot for Charles. And Anthony able to get to it. Blackman wide open for 3.
Well, the sad part about that is Charles Oakley was wide open about 7 feet from the hoop on the right.
And Forbes draws the foul.
And I don't think Charles will be angry that Rolando didn't pass him the ball the way Charles responds when he gets the ball around the hoop.
Anthony called for the foul. So Muggsy Bogues to the free throw line. He is an 84% foul shooter. The Knicks at 22-14. They are a half game over the New Jersey Nets. Nets not scheduled tonight. Not bad. 4 rebounds per game among the point guard leaders. Although I think that is that's a stat that if you look into it, he gets a lot of loose balls snaking his way in, but nevertheless not bad, right? 4 rebounds per game.
Well, we must point out to the people watching the Charlotte Hornets for the first time ever that Muggsy Bogues is 5'3" tall.
Yes, that's the point of showing the startling statistic of 4 rebounds per game.
Well, 7th among point guards in the NBA is impressive out of 27 teams for anybody.
And here's Smith. Knicks lead 20-14. Bogues pass picked off, and Anthony was fouled by Bogues. So that is team foul number 4. Charlotte Hornets turning on the pressure last time down court. Blackman played by Gill. Smith working hard. Rejected by Mourning. Broken up by Oakley. 4-on-2 for the Knicks. Smith decides to go all the way.
Charles showing his versatility handling the ball.
Anthony on the rebound. Pops it down to Ewing. And able to save it. Here's Ewing. Rejected. Mourning with the block. And a foul is called. Collision between Oakley and Bogues. Bogues shaken up. Foul committed by Charles Oakley, his second.
Strong drive by Ewing. The surprise is here. It goes to the left-handed hook. No surprise that Mourning is there. He's 4th best in the NBA in shot blocking now. But Muggsy Bogues, who has that aggressive streak we were talking about, Marv, by going to the boards, is crushed by Charles Oakley.
Del Curry has come on for the first time. He had a good one against the Knicks back in December. A pretty move by Larry Johnson. The Knicks lead is now 6. Johnson has 6 points. 3.5 remaining in this opening quarter. Illegal defense against Charlotte for the first time.
Kenny Gaddison standing in the middle. Like the old days of the zone defense in college for him, and he was not aware of where his man was. He was just clogging the middle.
And here's John Starks, who has played so well as of late. 21 points, 5 assists in the game on Monday against Phoenix. The stats on John Starks, last 6 games, averaging just under 24 a game. So the Knicks go to the 3-guard setup. Bogues trying to steal it, knocked it out of bounds. Knicks in possession with 14 on the shot clock. Charles Oakley not allowing. And Herb Williams not allowing Bogues to move back onto the court.
Kind of like the subway car trick you used to do, Mark, at Lincoln High School, you know, when you
What is that?
you'd hold your pals on and wouldn't let them off at their stop.
No, I would never do that. Foul on Bogues, his second. And the Hornets are over the foul limit. So John Starks to the free throw line.
John also, in addition to 4 of the last 5 games leading the Knicks in scoring, has a happy memory of his last game against Charlotte, although it was a loss in overtime. But he had a 21-point game against the Hornets, including a couple of threes.
Did miss the shot at the buzzer at the end of regulation. The game then went into overtime, and the Hornets beat the Knicks, their first home loss of the season. That was 110-103. Anthony Mason for Rolando Blackman. Rolando leads with 6 points. So the Knicks now with Ewing at center, Mason and Smith on the front line, and Anthony and Starks at the guards. Knicks lead 24-16. Here's Curry. No, Curry off the bench and connects.
Such a pretty shooter. He killed the Knicks last time here in New York as well.
23 against the Knicks back on the 10th of December. Had a 6-for-12 last night against Atlanta. Nice fake by Ewing. Ewing with the tip. And Anthony gets to it. Ewing setting the pick. Well, the extra pass, so the Knicks regroup. Smith. Yes. Well, Charles Smith showing some signs. Not shooting well last 5 games at 29%. Did not get into it against Phoenix on Monday. Ball goes back to the Knicks. Timeout has been taken. 2:14 remaining in the first.
45, even 45, even 46, $4700 phone with time.
Block shots because of the presence of Alonzo Mourning. Charles Smith shot away. Mourning 4th in the NBA now in shot blocks, according to our Old Spice leader board here. We see Mutombo, his Georgetown former teammate, also number 5. New guests at the block party, which happens to be the shortest team in the NBA. The Charlotte Hornets, after the first 4 years of being last in the NBA in shot blocks, are now 9th. What a dramatic improvement Mourning has made to this team.
The Knicks with a 26-18 lead coming up on 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Here's Mason, rebounded by Ewing. Fast start for Patrick Ewing. 11 points, 7 rebounds in this first quarter. Knicks lead by 10. Gaddison played by Smith. Johnson now being guarded by Mason. Oh, Starks with the steal. Starks against the backpedaling Johnson is fouled. A sensational end-to-end move by John Starks.
Larry Johnson's very unhappy about that call. Watch Starks commit himself in the air to this loosely thrown pass, and then he charges up court. He sees Larry Johnson. He's trying to get him to wiggle around as John fakes left and right. No way Larry Johnson's buying that, but Starks sure brought a lot to that move.
8 turnovers committed by Charlotte to only 1 by the Knicks. So the Knicks 30 and the Hornets 18. Minute 35 remaining in this first quarter. Marv Albert, John Andres, Al Troutwig, and Walt Clyde Frazier from Madison Square Garden. Gill backing Anthony. Kendall Gill draws the foul.
You see players like Gill with that 6'5" height advantage over Greg Anthony, always trying to back the shorter defensive player in closer so they can get a shot close to the basket.
Kendall Gill averaging just under 17 per game, 81% free throw shooter. 3rd year out of Illinois. Here's Doc Rivers for Greg Anthony. Doc Rivers very instrumental down the stretch on Monday against Phoenix. Anthony leaves with a field goal for 2. Gill missing on both. And Rivers and Mourning involved in a foul call. It's on Mourning, who is off to a difficult start. That's his 2nd foul. So Rivers will go to the line. And looks like Mourning will sit down. Johnny Newman over at the scorer's table. He will check in.
There is no substitute on this team for Alonzo Mourning. He has made such an impact as a big man, as a center on the Charlotte Hornets, that there's nobody who can closely follow him in effectiveness. A good opportunity now for the Knicks and Patrick Ewing, who really is playing inspired here, picking up from where he left off the other day against Phoenix.
Former New York Knick Johnny Newman along with Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett handling the ball. No Tony Bennett, Judge John. I know you're so tempted. He is a rookie out of Wisconsin Green Bay, a second-round draft pick. This is Bennett with it, guarded by Rivers. And again a steal. Another Charlotte turnover, and Bennett is called for the foul. That will send Starks to the line once again, and that for Charlotte is turnover number 9 in this first quarter.
Well, our upper deck trading card cam gives us a good look at this defensive play by Starks, who's not held off by Bennett down in the post, or rather by his man down low, and he just sails right into Bennett and commits the foul.
John, Tony Bennett is the NCAA's all-time leader in three-point field goal percentage. Got around 50% from three-point range. Anderson picks it off. Just under 1 minute remaining in this first quarter. So we're not just talking another Tony Bennett here, John. That's my point.
He's already made 14 this season from three-point range.
Johnson not able to hit. Mason gets to it. Mason finding Smith.
You know what's great about that is how Smith ran the lane. He ran as wide as he could until the last possible moment down the court on the left side, and then he went along the baseline, making it difficult for the defense.
Newman got caught, went to the air, had nowhere to go, and it will be Charlotte ball. Good hustle by Rivers, not able to hold on. Here's Herb Williams for Patrick Ewing. The hand for Ewing, 11 points, 7 rebounds. Knicks with a 35-18 lead, 35 points, matching their season high for a quarter. They scored 35 against Boston. In Boston, in that victory over the Celtics back on December 18th. So they've tied their most points in a quarter this season. Knicks with the last 11 points. 19 seconds remaining first quarter. Down to 10 on the shot clock for Charlotte. Down to 5. Johnson. It counts. And the foul. Larry Johnson going chest to chest with Anthony Mason. And Mason called for the foul.
Johnson's so good with the ball, handling the basketball, driving it, and working his way inside. This is what's known as a bad week when you're Anthony Mason. From Charles Barkley to Larry Johnson in a 3-day period. Ooh.
First Hornets points in nearly 3 minutes. 35-20. Knicks with the commanding lead. Final seconds of the quarter. Starks has to change his mind, and then was stopped by Curry. Curry was looking for a travel. Strong first quarter for the Knicks. After 1, they lead the Hornets 35-20.
Party right. Please use good sense when you drink and know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser.
John, in the current edition of Inside Sports, a panel of NBA experts checked out the top power forwards, small forwards, point guards, shooting guards, centers in the NBA. And Larry Johnson very upset that he ranked number 7 among power forwards. Karl Malone number 1, Charles Barkley rated 2nd. This is Johnson with the ball as we start second quarter, and rejected by Herb Williams. So Barkley 2nd, Dennis Rodman was 3rd, then Horace Grant, Derek Coleman, Kevin Willis, and then Larry Johnson in terms of all-around skills. A panel that included President Dave Checketts, Bob Hill, and Donnie Walsh of the Indiana Pacers, George Irvin. Ernie Grunfeld was on it. You see Al Bianchi, one-time Knicks general manager, Brendan Malone of the Pistons, Dave Gavitt of the Celtics, and Larry Johnson very upset about his ranking in Inside Sports.
I can see where he would be upset.
Yes.
He is a complete player. I mean, Rodman is great. as a rebounder, a competitor, but as a complete player. I mean, that's a good argument there for Larry Johnson.
But you would certainly, if you're Atlanta, you would trade Kevin Willis for Larry Johnson. Of course, there's an age differential that has to be considered. Patrick Ewing finished second in the voting to David Robinson. Hakeem Olajuwon was third, and then Brad Doherty fourth. That's Bennett. And the rebound comes to Herb Williams.
I wonder how the Houston people feel about that after Hakeem's performance the other day against Patrick.
Knicks by 15. Here's Williams. Yes. Nice move in the face of Gaddison.
Herb is on a roll after that shot block. Then he gets a chance to score, and he comes through.
Curry played very tightly by Starks, not allowing the shot. Curry and Bennett now in the backcourt. Oh, and Gaddison is called for the charge.
Well, it's good that Starks still has a face. Benny Gaddison, a very strong man at 6'8". Got to be 240. Gets that ball, whips around to the basket. John Starks is there doing his job as usual, drawing fouls.
Alan Bristow, one of the more intensive coaches in the league, very unhappy about that call. Alan Bristow's done a good job with the Hornets. He, as you mentioned earlier, has installed the passing game, which has proven to be the right system for this club. He began as director of basketball operations with Charlotte. 7 seasons prior to that, assistant coach and front office executive with Denver. Standout player at Virginia Tech. Second-round pick of the Sixers back in 73. And a double foul's been called. And Starks called for the foul. Now, that's an unusual call. That's a cop-out call because one official originally called it as a charge, and then they had a discussion. You very rarely see that. They're not talking double technical.
Yes.
There's no such thing as a double foul. I mean, you could call that on most plays. You got to make a decision. That's really an unusual
That's how
call.
they compromised. One official saw a foul on John Starks.
It did not happen at a critical time, so it's being somewhat accepted, but that's really unusual. Knicks lead by 17. There's Williams. Nice dish from Rivers.
Knicks getting that penetration from their point guard and Doc Rivers. You can see what happens. He draws the attention, and it opens it up for other people.
Starks knocked it out. And they're getting back to the double foul. You can call a double foul on every charge because it's such an instantaneous decision. And when the contact is made, you can certainly say, hey, double foul. I mean, you get nowhere with calls if that were the case.
All officials, as Doc Rivers sees the fast-breaking Starks, all officials admit that the toughest call in basketball is it an offensive or a defensive foul, and each official on that play saw it differently.
Well, the Knicks with a very solid effort. Timeout called by Charlotte. Knicks lead by 21.
We recently set out to discover where the current erogenous zone is in Western fashion and came up with some startling results.
Fashion looks for those things where it can provide the
CS service. One is a great reason to buy the other. Well, Doc Rivers comes into the picture. The Knicks start moving that ball around. Mason gets it all outside. Rivers on the penetration, draws the attention of the big men, makes them commit off their feet, and Herb Williams has a nice, easy shot. Dutch boy in the paint numbers. The Hornets getting killed by the Knicks inside by 15 points, and the Knicks owning the offensive boards as well.
2.5 gone by in the second quarter. They double up on Johnson. He goes to the fadeaway. The tip was missed. Knicks lead at 41-20. Pass deflected out by the Hornets.
Alan Bristow, after his team upset the Knicks in overtime and on December 10th, explained the game stating, the fact of the matter is we now match up very well with the Knicks. And that explained the victory. He felt that every position was well taken care of now for his team against the Knicks, who had beaten Charlotte 8 straight times prior to December 10th.
Newman was fouled.
They don't feel that way tonight here in the first half, though.
Blackman called for the foul. And now Alonzo Mourning checking back in. Replacing Larry Johnson, who leads with 8 points. Muggsy Bogues is back for Tony Bennett. That was called a non-shooting foul. Bogues and Curry now in the backcourt. Nice pass, Bogues finding the wide open Newman.
It's great when you see a player moving and you're thinking what he's going to do next, and he surprises you, as Bogues just did. He went in the opposite direction of the flow, and it was a beauty.
Mason feeling around. Illegal defense called for the second time against Charlotte. Technical foul against the Hornets.
Well, the Knicks continue their fine play with Patrick Ewing on the bench now. They're continuing to roll. Herb Williams is doing a nice job.
So Blackman with the technical. And the Knicks now lead 42-22. This is game 2 for the Knicks in a span in which they will play 6 out of 7 games at home. They'll face the 76ers at the Spectrum in Philadelphia on Friday. Knicks beat the Sixers in their home opener here, November 7th. And then Tuesday, it's back home for Philadelphia. Blackman to the dribble move on Newman. Yes. Knicks lead by 22.
Oh, Orlando turned around to the officials begging for the foul call, which didn't happen as well. That was a tough shot he made.
20-4 run by the Knicks. Del Curry with that quick release hits on his second field goal, and the Knicks now lead 44-24. The Knicks are shooting 50%, which is most unusual. Blackman, rebound Gaddison. Bogues with the pass for Newman, and he is fouled. Mourning went flying once again. Blackman called for the hold. So Newman to the free throw line. Johnny Newman played only 19 minutes last night in the loss to Atlanta. As I mentioned earlier, he's been bothered by injuries, broken left hand earlier this season. Newman, originally a second-round draft pick of the Cleveland Cavaliers, spent 3 years with the Knicks, and this is third season with Charlotte.
Johnny Newman doesn't rebound very well in the NBA, but he sure draws fouls, and he shoots his foul shots quite well at over 80% this year.
And an underrated defensive player. He has, over the years, done a nice job on some major small forwards. Mason called for a travel.
Johnny Newman also has been part of many happy moments here at the Garden, wearing a Knicks uniform with his intense style of play.
Last year played his best ball after a midseason bout with knee tendonitis. Came on strong at the end of the season. Offensive foul. And it's called on Curry. John, you watched the inauguration?
I watched parts of it, Marv, yes.
I walked into another room at my estate earlier today. I had the radio on. Starks, and it's rebounded by Mourning. And here comes Bogues.
The state in the sky.
Bogues angling in for the shot and hits it. Oh, what a move by Muggsy Bogues. Knicks now lead 44-28. I had the radio on in another room while the inauguration was going elsewhere. And I had it on WFAN.
Of course.
And you were on, being interviewed by Dave Sims and Ed Coleman. Here's Rivers for 3. The inauguration is going on, and you're on. What excellent counter programming on the part of WFAN. I mean, if I'm going to go with anybody when the inauguration is on, I go with Johnny Hoops.
Marv, you went with the crowd. You know, if you ever want to counter program and get high ratings, you go against political
Absolutely.
presentations. That's what we've learned here in the industry.
Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley check in. Herb Williams in a discussion with the official Jack Neese. And he was hit with that foul. Herb being greeted as he sits down, replaced by Ewing. I would think over at Fox they'll be talking to you for that halftime programming against the Super Bowl.
Well, when the overnights come in, that could be more.
It counts. And a foul. So Gaddison to the line. Blackman called for his third.
Overhead cam always gives you a wide angle look here at the openings that occur inside, and Gaddison powers his way to the basket. Wasn't pretty, but it got the job done.
Gaddison, a poor free throw shooter at 55%, but completes the three-point play. So the Hornets chipping away. It's down to a 13-point lead. Knicks have led by as many as 22. Ewing with the pick. Pick and roll. Ewing. And Smith able to get to it. Ewing for Oakley to the reverse. And it's called against the Knicks. The outside official, Derek Stafford, made the offensive foul call on Oakley.
I don't know when I've seen Patrick Ewing shovel a pass to the cutting Charles Oakley, but I bet he won't do it again in a hurry. Charles seems to get very strange around the basket.
Oakley picking up his third. Sloppy pass. Morning was able to recover. Back comes the Knicks. Rivers working his way around Bogues
In a very big way.
The Knicks lead 46-31. Addison, Morning, and Newman up front now for the Hornets. Morning. Rivers trying to draw the foul, but it's called on Rivers, a block. Kendall Gill and Larry Johnson check back. Johnny Newman and Del Curry sit down.
Well, despite this this outstanding beginning to this game against a team that Pat Riley respects greatly, Pat's got to be worried. In that press conference after the Phoenix Suns game the other day, he said, "It seems we just seem to have to go into the fourth quarter down 8 points in order to play well." Most coaches do get worried when a big lead occurs in their favor because they don't assume their team can keep up the intensity. How about Larry Johnson? A double-figure rebounder in the NBA has no rebounds with 5 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the half.
Morning, a 75% foul shooter. The Knicks 46 and the Hornets 32. 5 minutes remaining in this first half. Starks played by Gill. They double up on Ewing. Shot clock at 7. Rivers. Yes. Doc Rivers with 6 points. The Knicks by 16. Bogues turned back and then able to recover, being played by Charles Smith.
All right, Charles, let's see how you handle the 5'3" guy.
Well, Bogues got it off. Morning. And the foul against the Knicks. Alonzo Morning controlling the boards. It's on Rivers.
Well, Charles feels he can play small forwards, but how about real small guards? With crossover dribble, and Bogues accepted that challenge.
Let's see, 5'3", going up against 6'10". A little nice schoolyard matchup. Greg Anthony now will come on, replacing Doc Rivers. And the applause for Doc. Played well.
A little applause from Pat Riley. I don't know that I've seen that when a player leaves the floor.
Alonzo Mourning, first-round draft pick, second selection overall last year behind Shaquille O'Neal. Missed all of training camp in a contract dispute.
Kind of ironic. They were drafted 1-2, and that's how the numbers are in points and rebounding and blocks in the NBA right now among rookies.
A strong move by Smith, but it will not count. Offensive foul, and Pat Riley is upset.
Charles Smith felt he was going at an angle to the basket and didn't run over the defender. Official Jack Neese saw it another way.
And the whistle away from the ball. A call coming up against Charlotte. Well, apparently, one of the players set a screen out of bounds. We've seen that call from time to time. One of the Charlotte players came from out of bounds, setting the screen, and then moved onto the court. And that is illegal. And another whistle. 3-second violation called. And a technical foul. Charged to Pat Riley. Well, Pat was hit with one on Monday afternoon. In the Phoenix game, this is his fourth of the season.
Jack Neese let Pat express himself after that first call a moment ago. Pat was pretty wild. In fact, came out on the court. And then Neese, the official, couldn't take it the second time, as Pat's been quite vocal for the last 90 seconds or so.
Now the Knicks calling for time with 4 minutes 3 seconds remaining first half. A moment ago, Pat Riley was hit with a technical. He is still discussing it with Jack Neese. Pat with his fourth technical of the season. Now, Alan Bristow has certainly had his moments. This was back on the 16th of December game against Utah, and he got the thumb after whipping the jacket off. He was upset about a late charge call called against Larry Johnson. Alan Bristow, a very explosive personality on the Charlotte bench. Shot clock running down as Johnson was able to work his way in, and the Knicks lead is now only 11. They have led by as many as 22.
It's so hard to keep the intensity up after you establish a big lead like the Knicks did. Now they have to redo it.
Ewing. Patrick Ewing following up on the magnificent performance against the Suns and has come out strong. Mourning got bottled up, but a foul was called. Smith trying to help out, collects his third, 3 apiece on Smith and Oakley.
Mourning is not playing with the energy level that he did on his first visit here to New York. Played 44 minutes out of 53. And Marv, as you recall, 22 points, 17 rebounds. But since that time, he has the injured thumb, and that seems to be holding him back a bit. This season, very impressive numbers for a man who didn't participate in training camp or the exhibition season. Second among rookies in all those 3 categories behind Shaquille O'Neal. What a rookie crop of big men. But remember the bad shots he took and the decisions he made in that game, but he competed with such intensity and ended up with very impressive numbers despite his poor decisions on offense.
Yes, his shot selection for the most part has been poor, but tonight he's come out more selective. Tony Campbell has come on for the first time. Tony Campbell has been getting playing time recently. Starks, and the Knicks now lead 52-38. John Starks off the bench for 9.
What a nice pick by Patrick Ewing for Starks.
2:45 remaining. Rhodes coughed it up and then recaptured. That goes down as a turnover and a steal. Mason off that long rebound, leading Starks. Alley-oop Ewing.
Lovely. Oh, what a play by Starks. So soft. so easy to deal with for Ewing.
And it surprised Johnson, who was back defending against the 2-on-1. Knicks by 16. Campbell battling with Gaddison. Shot clock at 5. Here's Gill. Kendall Gill has been quiet. That is only his second field goal. He has 4. The Knicks lead 54-40. Just under 2 minutes remaining of the half. Mason getting it back out. Knicks have gotten good ball movement, swinging the ball well right from the start. Ewing was fouled. Gaddison called for his second, and Patrick Ewing to the line. He's 3 out of 4 from the line.
Another overhead look by the passing of the Knicks moments ago. Starks to Ewing with a gorgeous setup. The purpose of passing the ball on offense is to make it difficult for the defense to guard their men. The more quickly the ball is passed, the greater the chances that the ball will find itself to an offensive player's hands whose man is having trouble keeping up with the action. And when the Knicks do it as well as they have been doing it, they're getting good shots. It's as simple as that, Marv Albert.
Very remedial here. Knicks have had the big edge off the board. Larry Johnson has not been able to color a rebound. Knicks with the 16-point lead. Offensive foul on Mourning. That's 3 on Alonzo Mourning.
Oh, Mourning wants to go across the middle. And he bangs around Ewing. Commits the foul with that arm, that left arm protecting his path as he carved his way through those defenders.
So Alonzo sits down. 7 points, 7 rebounds in limited playing time. He picks up his 3rd foul. Minute and a half to go in this first half. Campbell being guarded by Curry. Shoots over him. And Ewing hits the deck. Ewing in a collision with Gaddison. And Gaddison is called for the loose ball foul. Ewing to the line with Charlotte over the limit.
Now look how nicely Ewing falls here, Marv. Just comes down very neat. You know, he fell nicely, wasn't hurt at all. There's an art to that. Although Charles Oakley leads the club in hitting the floor. Patrick went down very gracefully. Beautifully done.
Get the idea that Charles Oakley kind of enjoys the contact with the floor. I would venture to say he leads the league in falling down.
Well,
and it has something to do with balance and the fact he plays so hard. He's always looking for steals that he doesn't mind going down. And obviously is strong enough to handle it.
Yes, he loves the floor.
Imagine that being written in the synopsis of a player loves the floor. Larry Johnson was hit on a reach-in. So Campbell called for his first. Both clubs are over the limit. And Johnson to the free throw line. Larry Johnson last night in the loss to the Atlanta Hawks at 32 points, 14 of 21 from the field. And here is another one-time New York Knicks, Sidney Green, who has not been getting the playing time as of late. Checking in, Sidney acquired from San Antonio on the deal for J.R. Reed. Spent 2 years with the New York Knicks. So Sidney Green on the floor. Knicks lead 57-41.
He joined the Hornets on December 9th, but didn't get here officially to play against the Knicks on December 10th.
Anthony. 50 seconds remaining in the first half. Curry's pass deflected. Another Charlotte turnover. Anthony takes it to Mason. What hands by Anthony Mason to make that catch and then able to surge to hit on the drive.
Doing all those NFL games this year, Marv, you can appreciate that. That looked like an NFL type play as he reached out and held that pass.
I think Anthony would do very well as a tight end in the NFL. Anthony Mason, that is.
No reason to think otherwise. The body is certainly there in a big way. And he's very good with his right hand. He's a left-handed shooter, but he's really developed a nice, comfortable poise when he has to use the right hand. He doesn't look like he's off balance.
Larry Johnson back to the line. He was fouled by Greg Anthony. Doc Rivers has replaced Anthony, who's called for his third. The Knicks now lead 59-43. We are down to a half-minute remaining in the first half. High dribble by Starks to set it up. What a beautiful move by John Starks. Knicks by 18. Bolts gets it down in a hurry. Green giving it back to Gill with 20 seconds left in the half. Down to 10. He'll try to do it off the dribble, and he does. Oh, a gorgeous move by Kendall Gill. 5 seconds to go in the half. Knicks by 16. Starks looking for the three. Good half for the Knicks, led by as many as 22. And they lead the Charlotte Hornets 61-45. Stay with us. Bob Page coming up at the MSG Sports Desk. And then Alan Clyde will toss things around. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Knicks rather high. Well, it's only too short of their season's best. They're having a relatively easy time with the Charlotte Hornets. 61-45 is the score. The Hornets look like a team that is playing their second game in as many nights. We'll have highlights and tell you who scored how many with Walt Frazier in a moment. But first, let's go to Bob Page, who's one floor below at the sports desk.
Thank you, Al. Good evening again, everybody. At Boston tonight, two teams playing very well of late, despite mediocre overall records going at it. Atlanta leading the Celtics 63-62 at halftime. Hawks up 4 at the end of 1. Here in the second quarter, ex-net Mookie Blaylock to Dominique. Baseline jam en route to 19 first-half points. Now, Stacey Hogman strips Xavier McDaniel. John Koncak ahead to Mookie, 61-58. Atlanta takes charge for head coach Bobby Weiss, who later looked on as the X-Man fed Robert Parrish for 2. Parrish playing his 1,300th game tonight. He is third on the all-time list behind Kareem and Elvin Hayes. If you missed the news from earlier today, the NBA has fined Charles Barkley $10,000 and suspended him without pay for tonight's Phoenix game at Cleveland. The action, which will cost Sir Charles about $40 grand total, comes in the wake of Barkley's temper tantrum directed at referee Jimmy Clark Monday at the Garden following the Knicks-Suns game.
I don't think it warranted a suspension, but I think you know how I know what they got to do. They got to keep people coming, so they got to control the image of the league. So I understand that. I think being in New York had something to do with it. Being in New York had something to do with everything.
Meanwhile, the NBA announced today the participants for the skills competition during All-Star Weekend. Drazen Petrovic of the Nets and New Yorkers Chris Mullin and Kenny Smith will take part in the three-point shooting contest. Now this.
Sports Desk is brought to you by Alamo. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, and with Alamo, all those miles are free.
It's almost as if someone regrets about the major decisions I made. I think I've thought about them, and that's not to say I was perfect or I didn't make mistakes, but I think on the major issues, I'm comfortable that I did what I thought was right for baseball, and I'm not going to apologize for any of the major decisions.
That's Steinbrenner's situation as well.
Well, any major decision.
And the Boston Globe reported today that Bill Parcells will soon be offered the vacant New England Patriots head coaching position. We'll return to courtside in just a moment.
Much more live from the 61-45, the leading scorer summary, brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. Patrick Ewing with a fine first half, going to the hoop more, no doubt about it. 6 of 12, 9 rebounds, 18 points. Another great half for John Starks, 3 of 7, 5 of 6 from the line, 11 points. Other big efforts, Anthony Mason, 6 rebounds off the bench. For the Charlotte Hornets, 13 points for Larry Johnson, but get this, 0 rebounds for Larry Johnson. After that, Alonzo Mourning, 8 points to go with his 4 blocks. It was an even balanced attack after that. But clearly the Charlotte Hornets are having trouble. They're shooting better than 50%, Walt Frazier, and they're down by 15. But I think turnovers really is part of the story. As I look at the sheet, 13 turnovers that have led to 19 Knick points.
Not only that, they're matador defense. They haven't really asserted themselves on the defense, so the Knicks have been able to drive and thrive at will. Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Rolando Blackman as well.
Lots of foul calls in the first half. It really set a sluggish pace, I thought. We'll get a chance to look at some of the highlights brought to you by Minolta, creators of the world's most responsive SLR cameras, the new Maxim XI series. Clyde, take it away. Rolando Blackman, a good start in this game for a good Knicks start. A little second effort here.
Yeah, Blackman with vim and vigor into the paint, but Mourning, among the leaders in rejections, recycles that one. So the Knicks hustle and come up with the rebound, and this is what hurt the Hornets. The Knicks getting second opportunities, and that time Blackman undaunted with the baby sky hook.
Hornets played last night, lost to Atlanta, could be tired. As a result, the Knicks were able to run a little bit.
Right, Mason always dribbling the ball, so he brings it up. No one in your picture, Smith, going up for the dunk shot. So the Hornets' pathetic defense in that transition.
Well, Larry Johnson may not have any rebounds, but he showed us some good moves.
Right, he's their top gun as well as their top rebounder. So this time the Knicks are a little lackadaisical on the D. The help was late.
Alonzo Mourning's got an injured left thumb. Looked a little sluggish, but still was able to make a few things happen.
Right, the thumb is hindering him handling the ball. So, but this time a nice sky hook over Patrick Ewing. 4D by Ewing, allowing him to post only 12 feet away.
All right, nicely done, Clyde. We'll see you again in the postgame, time permitting. When we come back, we'll turn it over to our Ace Award-winning Marv Albert with John Andres. Back in a moment with the Knicks up by a bunch. The numbers after 2 quarters, 61-45, Knicks in front of the Charlotte Hornets, and now back to Marv Albert, who is rejoined by a man who lives life on the edge, Johnny Hoops. Marv.
Yes, John, working the crowd, but we can tell you as we take a look at the stats in the first half, Charlotte 52%, 16 for 31, while the Knicks at 23 of 46, so a good shooting first half all around. Knicks with the edge off the boards, led by Mason, who had 6. Larry Johnson, no rebounds in the first half. But the Knicks with the decisive edge. Charlotte with 13 turnovers, 9 in the first quarter. That has really hurt them. And off turnovers, Knicks have certainly capitalized with 19 points.
Toyota matchup featuring 2 Georgetown graduates, Patrick Ewing and Alonzo Mourning. No question about who's getting the better of this matchup here, particularly in the points area. Ewing having a very big first half. That'll be nice numbers for a game for the ordinary person. 18 points, 9 rebounds. Mourning has only taken 4 shots. The big difference, though, Marv, from the last time these 2 teams met is offensive rebounding. Charlotte had 23 offensive rebounds in the first meeting with the Knicks. They have 2 in this game.
So the third quarter is underway, and the Knicks with a 61-45 lead. Johnson putting the move on Oakley, then to the fadeaway. Rebounded by Smith. The Knicks going with their starting lineup, Oakley, Ewing, and Smith. Ewing getting down, and it's rebounded by Gill. Here's Bogues. The Knick lead is now 14. Muggsy Bogues with 9 points now. High point man for the Hornets in the first half. Johnson with 13, the only Hornet in double figures. Ewing with 18, Starks with 11. And the ball goes back to Charlotte.
Rolando, excuse me, Marv, now 4 for 10 from the field. Still can't get the feel of that long jumper.
Johnny Newman starting the second half for Charlotte, able to get inside on the reverse. Nice move by Newman. David Wingate started the game, picked up the early fouls, and sat down quickly, and Newman has started this second half. Here's Blackman. Yes. The Knicks 63. The Hornets 49. Charlotte trying to do it on the transition, but the Knicks get back. Here's Newman. Oh, nice fake through the foul. That's the first committed by Ewing. The Hornets last season tied for last in the Central with Milwaukee. They won 31, lost 51. They were the fourth worst rebounding team last season. But this year, 17-17. They've lost 3 in a row. They had won their previous 2. They've been beaten by Houston, by San Antonio, and Atlanta. But still at 17-17, it's the best start in the history of the franchise. This is their 5th year in existence. They began back in the 1988-89 season.
Talk about the respective goal difference of these two teams. For the Knicks, they want to get to contender level, legitimate contender level, championship caliber type play. Hornets want to make the playoffs. They want to be one of 16.
And with that record of 17-17, they are actually 7 games ahead of their best previous start. Oakley goes to the hook. Well, that's one we have not seen, and he drew the foul.
Charles is so deceptive. Once in a while, he shows you a beauty, as he does here, going left. I mean, that looks like a regular part of his repertoire. And that was gorgeous execution by Oakley. Problem for Charles over the last 4 games, as you see, a total of 7 points. He was not an active participant in the Knicks offense.
And that baby hook was his first field goal of the night. It was only his 2nd shot. Knicks by 16 points. Newman. And Oakley with the rebound. Anthony and Blackman in the backcourt. Smith with Ewing and Oakley up front. Ewing with the drop step, then went to the finger roll. And they'll jump it up. Bones and Oakley on the tie-up.
How tough is Bones? I think the fans are cheering for the little guy who wrestled with Charles Oakley, wrestled to a jump ball. Now, here we go, Mark.
Well, the crowd reacting to what they saw on Garden Vision, and Muggsy talking it over here with Charles, who is amused and controls the tip.
Muggsy competed, as he always does.
Smith. Loose ball foul against Charlotte. It's called on Mourning, so he has 4. Alonzo Mourning has had a very long ball game, has not been able to get into it. He is 2 out of 4 from the field, 4 of 6 from the line, 8 points. And again a foul call. This time it's on Newman. Very quickly, Charlotte picking up 3 team fouls. The Knicks 65, the Hornets 49. Here's Ewing going right at Mourning. Yes. At first, it appeared that Alonzo was going to try and play him tough, and then he moved away, did not want to pick up number 5. That's a leg block. Gill got trapped. Ewing kicked it out.
The Knicks keeping their energy level up high and their intensity up high as well. They slid and let the Hornets get to within 11 as the 3rd quarter wound down, but then they turned it up again with Starks and Doc Rivers adding a lot of muscle to the Knicks. And they've kept it up here now in the 3rd quarter as well.
Johnson backing and spins, but called for a travel or an offensive foul. It's an offensive foul it is. So Charles Oakley played him well. He closed the baseline, and Johnson is called for his 3rd.
Larry Johnson with his assortment of head fakes, so tough to deal with. We didn't see the elbow, but it was flashed by Larry as he went by Oakley.
Bristow upset about calls right throughout, as has Pat Riley. Also has been upset. Was hit with a tee earlier. Now Bristow called for a technical, and Rolando Blackman will shoot it.
Alan Bristow played for the 76ers coach Doug Moe and worked for him as well in San Antonio, and he really reminds me of him in his bench demeanor. He's a very nice, soft-spoken guy. I mentioned Bristow. You see Bill Hanslick, former NBA player, who also comes out of the Denver Doug Moe school, but a real tough competitor like Moe, and he can get wild as Doug does from time to time.
The Knicks lead at 68-49. Here's Gill on a pull-up. Fouled by Blackman. And that's 4 on Rolando. The Knicks will go up against Doug Moe and the Sixers Friday night in Philadelphia. Sixers have won the last 2. Doug has done a nice job with the 76ers club.
Yes, he resisted Manute Bol's presence for a long time, and then found reason to put him in the lineup, and good things happened for quite a period with Manute in the starting lineup.
Knicks and the Sixers. Jeff Hornacek and his 76ers going up against the Knicks at the Spectrum. Will be on hand starting at 7 on Friday night, Knicks game night. And Miami leading Philadelphia down in Miami by 3 in the third quarter. 4 minutes gone by here in the third, and the Knicks lead by 18. Nice pass from Ewing. Give it go, Ewing for Anthony. Knicks lead by 20. Interesting statement made by an NBA observer recently. Johnson was fouled. Foul called on Greg Anthony against his one-time UNLV teammate, Larry Johnson. And they have some friendly words. Maybe Larry Johnson has something to say, and Greg tried to knock it aside with some humor. I think Larry did both.
Greg tried to soothe the wounds there a little bit.
Here's John Starks checking in. John Starks had an excellent first half. He replaces Rolando Blackman, who leads with 12 points. As you mentioned, Manute Bol now in the starting lineup for the 76ers, and someone pointed out that Manute has the rare ability to stop the opposition's offense and his own.
Well, he was part in their last game of a winning effort the other night against Orlando in overtime. Played 27 minutes, scored 3 points, but they won the game. Big win for Philadelphia.
Now Smith posting up, drawing a double team. He finds Anthony, and it's tipped by Oakley. The Knicks 72 and the Hornets 51. Newman called for a travel. Trying to fake Smith. Here's Doc Rivers for Greg Anthony. Anthony leads with 4. The Knicks now with Rivers and Starks at the guards. Ewing, Oakley, Smith up front. Starks on the alley-oop. Right on target from Oakley. And the Knicks have their biggest lead of the night.
That's a very special pass thrown by Charles Oakley, long distance.
6:45 remaining in the third. Gill with the rebound and a foul call. Timeout called by the Knicks. Starks called for that foul. So the Knicks. Well, the Knicks with their biggest lead of the game. A margin of 23. They lead 74-51 with 6:43 remaining third quarter. Charlotte Hornets have not lost 4 straight this season. They have dropped their last 3. Bogues now played by Rivers. Oakley's done a good job against Johnson. Again, tries to go baseline, but has nothing going. Here's Gill with a force. in, and he draws the foul.
Ewing very unhappy with the outcome of a situation the Knicks were in control of.
Larry Johnson to the line. He's 4 of 7 from the line.
Larry's bothering the Knicks, but not killing them. And Larry is used to killing opponents. This team is playing their second game in 2 nights. Tough loss for them last evening at home against the Atlanta Hawks, and then up here today.
They had a 7-point lead, 5 minutes to play, and lost on a last-second tip by John Concat. Smith fouled. The Concat, that was his only shot attempt of the game. I should say his only field goal of the game.
Nothing more frustrating than losing a game with the winning basket coming from someone who gets their first field goal. I mean, that's got to turn your stomach if you're the victim.
Foul on Gill, putting Smith at the line. Charles Smith is 1 for 1 from the line.
Charles had a decent shooting first half in 15 minutes, 4 out of 7 from the field as he looks to recapture the fine shooting touch he showed some time back. He's been in a bit of a slump.
The Knicks at 22-14, half game in front of New Jersey, 3.5 over Boston and 4 over Orlando. Nets and Orlando are not scheduled tonight. Boston leading Atlanta by 7 in the third quarter. Here's Gaddison. The Knicks lead 75-55. Starks getting down, but met by Gill. Ewing, yes. Patrick Ewing with 22 points, and the Knicks by 22. The Knicks have led most of the way with a sizable advantage in the first half. Charlotte did cut that 22-point lead down to 11. Knicks have it back up to 22. Boats with the steal. Here's Gill. The Knicks 77 and the Hornets 57. Rivers. And Smith keeps it alive. Here's Ewing. Yes. Patrick Ewing shooting very well. He is 9 for 17. 24 points.
The Knicks simply look more alert, more alive. They have livelier legs than the Hornets do. It's been that way throughout.
Newman. Well, he did well to get that shot over Ewing. The Knicks lead 79-59. Ewing had it knocked away, thought he was fouled, and Gill was fouled.
You see, when Ewing makes that move from right to left, he's dribbling the ball with his right hand going to his right. Now, when you think about that, it's very hard to do. Take a look at Ewing now. He'll dribble that ball or uses the left hand, then he comes back to the right. But it's hard for him to protect the ball and get the move and put it all together with the defensive man as well, because he's going right and coming back to the right hand right into the defense. It's tough for him to keep the proper space with his arms and body and the defense. Very difficult move. He's back to doing it a lot tonight.
Del Curry has returned. So a 3-yard alignment for the pressure, and it pays off as Curry, with the steal, cuts it to 79-63. More pressure by Charlotte. Smith able to handle. Here's Starks for Ewing. Ewing with a facial at Gaddison. Foul called on Smith. We're down to 4:08 remaining in this third quarter. The Knicks with an 18-point lead.
Well, Ewing with room to move along the baseline now. Gets his momentum and up and down. Down with the basketball.
Tony Campbell has returned. Well, Tony Campbell certainly back in the rotation, although not getting big minutes. Played 3 minutes in the first half, but Campbell has come on for Smith. Smith picked up his 4th foul. Pat Riley started to go with Campbell on that recent trip to the West after Tony had sat out 7 straight. Ewing from Rivers. Well, now the pressure is not working. Knicks able to push the ball down, able to advance. And the end result, easy buckets.
Alan Bristow has to be very disappointed in his team's porous defense.
Look-away pass from Rivers. It surprised Starks. And Charlotte gets it back. Now Johnson working against Mason. They collapse on him, and he had nowhere to go. Ewing with the steal. Coming up on 3 minutes remaining in the third. And the Knicks with a commanding lead. Mason. Bogues with the save.
Knicks so aware of the Hornets' desire to run, had 3 men back quite early.
The Knicks lead 83-67. Muggsy Bogues has 11. Rivers protecting against Bogues. Ewing. And Johnson with his 2nd rebound. He went into the 3rd quarter without a rebound. Bogues again. Well, Muggsy has the crowd going. He's cut it down to 14. And the Knicks take a timeout with 2:23 to go in the 3rd.
Here's a break for Messier.
Heat scheduled for February 7th will now begin at 7:30 p.m. instead of 6 p.m., which was the prior time for that game. Well, the Midas bench breakdown isn't as dramatic as the scoreboard is right now. The Hornets 19 points off the bench. The Knicks getting 13 points from John Starks of their 25. The Knicks front line is doing the big work tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. The starters are really getting the job done.
High point man Patrick Ewing with another magnificent game. 28 for Ewing. Shot clock at 3. Here's Ewing. And he drew the foul.
See, there's where I would like the hook.
I agree with you. Into that move. He has the hook.
He does, but he was rolling in beautifully. He was going into the hoop. But then when you come back and stiffen your body for the jump shot, it becomes a stiff shot.
If you stiffen the body.
Yes.
It would become.
But he has to for the jump shot, though,
as you know, John, as a competitor, you go with what you're most confident in. Obviously, Patrick Ewing, although he has that nice baseline hook, is not confident with it.
In other words, you go with what got you $5 million a year.
Exactly.
Yes, I guess you're right about that.
So Patrick Ewing, back-to-back 30-point games. The competition tonight, though, at the center position has not been intensive. Gaddison stripped, and it's kicked out. The officials confirm last touch by Gaddison. Good play by Rivers. Alonzo Mourning has not had a good game. In foul trouble. He's on the bench after picking up his 4th. And now Ewing is being played by the 6'8" Kenny Gaddison. Also in the game against Phoenix, where Ewing did take charge, picked off by Curry. The Phoenix Suns do not have a force at center, but hey, that's the case around the league, and that's where you want Patrick Ewing to be able to take advantage. There are many clubs in that situation. Knicks lead at 85-69. We come up on 1 minute remaining in the 3rd. Double team. Ewing, nice pass. Campbell could not hit. Here's Wingate who just checked back in. A bad shot. Come on, baby. That went off the side of the glass. So the ball goes to the Knicks. Charlotte players indicating that it was deflected by a Knick, but the officials say no. Just under 1 minute remaining in the third quarter. Rivers backing Bones. Starks. Yes.
What a quick release by Starks.
87-69. The Knicks with the lead. John Starks has 15. Johnson. Hand check by Mason. Rivers over. Got a piece of it. Shot clock at 5. Down to 1. Johnson has to fire. And Curry able to get to it. Nice pass for Johnson. Johnson again. It counts, and the foul with 11 seconds to go in the third.
Boy, does Larry Johnson know how to work. Cross-court pass. Larry Johnson inside, misses the shot, stays alive, and gets it done with that second and third effort.
Foul committed by Ewing. His third.
What I want to know is, why isn't he breathing hard? Through all that work.
87-72. The Knicks on top. Final seconds of the third. And Anthony Mason extends to the 89-72 lead. Here's Bones racing the clock. Curry gets it off. You're right. You get the feeling that the stamina of Larry Johnson is just amazing. Doesn't seem to be affected at all.
There we were. A million miles outside.
The heavyweight boxing championship of the world are coming home to New York on Saturday, February 6th. Riddick Bowe defends his title against former champ Michael Dokes at Madison Square Garden. Tickets now on sale at the Garden box office and all Ticketmaster outlets. And to charge, call 212-307-7171. Boy, that's a fast reaction.
John, with your salesmanship, anything is possible. Fourth quarter getting underway. Alonzo Mourning is back in. He's playing with 4 fouls. Knicks 89 and the Charlotte Hornets 72. Second meeting of the season between these two clubs. Mason gets it back out to Starks. Shot clock is running down, and Starks able to hit over Mourning. Tony Bennett with the ball. He just checked back in, played briefly in the first half. 6-foot point guard, rookie from Wisconsin, Green Bay. The shot by Curry will not count. Offensive foul on Curry. Here's Herb Williams for Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing, 30 points, 12 rebounds. 11 for 20 from the floor. The Knicks now with Campbell, Mason, and Williams up front. Starks and Rivers in the backcourt. Here's Tony Campbell, rejected on the recovery, stopped again. Wingate on the open floor, took the hip check from Rivers. It will not count. That's 3 on Rivers. Wingate wanted the field goal, but it is waved off. Non-shooting foul. Bennett and Curry now in the backcourt. Wingate up front along with Gaddison and Mourning. Gaddison back to Curry. And he... No, offensive foul. It's on Gaddison for an illegal pick. Gaddison called for his 4. Larry Johnson sitting down at the moment as this fourth quarter gets underway. Knicks with a 19-point lead. Mason met by Mourning. Here's Starks. Yes. John Starks Starks with a beautiful stroke has hit for 19 points, and the Knicks with a 21-point lead. Morning. Morning on the follow. Only 10 points for Alonzo Morning.
10 minutes left in the game, too. Enough for the Hornets to bother the Knicks now as they continue to play hard, play for some pride, and come back into this thing.
Wingate called for the foul. Marv Albert, John Andres, Al Troutwick, Walt Frazier from Madison Square Garden. It has been a methodical ball game to this point for the Knicks. They have easily had their way against the Hornets right from the start. They came out with a burst. It's a travel. Host of turnovers being committed by Charlotte. Knicks have looked sharp right throughout. They've got the good shooting right around 50% for the game. Led by Ewing with 30, Starks with 19, 12 for Blackman, Smith with 10. Mason off a crossover, rejected, but that will count. It's a goal tag.
Anthony was above the rim as he let that ball get out of his hands. He was way up there. Mason right up there. No, he wasn't quite up there, but the ball was up there and on the way down when it was interfered with.
Now Gaddison backing Mason. Nowhere to go. He got squeezed out, and another traveling violation. Good help by the Knicks, and Gaddison coughed it up.
Well, what hurt the Knicks against Charlotte the first time they met was 24 turnovers, but boy, has that reversed itself, as has the offensive rebounding. Hornets now with only 7 in the game.
22 turnovers for Charlotte. Starks on fire. He is 8 for 13 for his 21 points, and the Hornets will talk it over. Timeout call. 74, 8:51 remaining in the fourth quarter. And it is Charlotte ball as we resume. The Knicks with 27 assists. Hornets only 13. Wingate was pushed. Another telling statistic, Knicks distributing the ball well. Campbell called for the foul. The 76ers have come from behind, leading Miami in the fourth quarter. Philadelphia with 2 straight wins. Knicks go up against the 76ers Friday night at the Spectrum. Bennett couldn't handle that pass, and then Rivers trying to steal, knocked it out.
Here's an unusual number. The Knicks shot 50% from the field in the first half, and they shot 50% from the field in the third quarter.
Unbelievable.
It is. They have not been consistent this season shooting the ball, and by golly, Mark, through 3 quarters, they have been consistent as can be.
Herb Williams called for the foul. Wingate being played by Campbell, able to get it to Bennett. Intended for Morning, but broken up. Campbell eludes Wingate. The Knicks 99 of the Hornets 74 as we are headed to extensive garbage time. Tony Campbell with his first field goal. Here's Curry. Williams with the box out on Morning. Starks for 3.
I mean, he gave off the feeling that he absolutely knew it was going in as it left his hands. He turned around and ran up court.
John Starks, 9 out of 14 overall, 24 points. Foul called on Williams. comes Hubert Davis. Now they changed the call. Doc Rivers called for that foul. John Starks hears it from the crowd.
Oh, Tony Campbell gave the ball up to Starks last time down court, and John fired away. Didn't even bother hitting the rim.
Well, the Knicks bench has enjoyed this one. John Starks has been on a tear as of late. Alonzo Mourning to the free throw line. So Hubert Davis will get some playing time. Has not played the last 2 games. Now Davis and Rivers in the backcourt.
I had a interesting chat, Marv, right before the game. Jack Neese, the official under the basket, came over to me with, that's Jack, with Gary Benson, the other official. And said, John, tell him what a good, that's Benson. Tell him what a player I was. Tell this guy, Benson, what a player I was. And I said to Gary, he was the spitting image of Larry Johnson. Jack Neese, I mention this every couple of years, was a very tough player. The kind of guy, you look at him out there, he looks short, of course, by NBA standards, but tough around the basket, used his body, jumping into big guys, a very tough, good basketball player. So I hope Gary Benson was straightened out on that subject.
Offensive foul on Mason. Now this is from your days in Brooklyn. We're talking. Let's document this.
Okay, all over the city. A lot of action around New York, Marv.
Was it late 40s, early 40s?
All over the boroughs. No, it's much more recent than that. Obviously, you didn't follow the real good stuff in New York, and I don't mean playground ball.
Well, the Knicks thought it was a clean block, but a foul called on Herb Williams. Where did Jack go to high school?
Jack's a Jersey guy. I'm not sure of the school, but I mean, it was like after college ball. A lot of tournaments go on throughout the boroughs through the years, and I used to run into him. He was with a Jersey crowd, and he had a lot more weight on him at the time, though. He was a slim guy now, but he was much beefier and stronger up top. Power moves inside. Tough guy. Larry Johnson type.
Did Gary Benson take your word for it?
Well, Gary knows I speak the truth, so I assume he did.
Gary what? Well, apparently a problem with the 24-second clock. 7:07 remaining in this fourth quarter.
Alonzo Mourning, the man at the free throw line, has not brought his game here to Madison Square Garden tonight. Here's a guy who has elevated this team in the middle. He holds the single-season shot block record already for the Charlotte Hornets, not to mention the single-game shot block record of 7 that he's already established this season. But he's a little fatigued tonight and a little down with that injured hand.
Just bothered by the thumb injury, heavily taped on the left hand. Knicks 102 and the Hornets 77. It is rare for the Knicks to come up with a blowout. That has not been their style, but this is a genuine blowout that the Knicks are able to enjoy tonight. Mason rejected. Now Johnson played by Mason. And knocked away from Mourning. So the Hornets will have 12 on the 24. But the idea, crowd is a little restless. Another capacity crowd, 19,763. Knicks have sold out 18 of their last 19 home dates. Mourning with the good move and then foul. Put the move on Williams, and then Herb called for his fourth.
Mourning is competing quite hard now, showing more energy than he did in the first half. He comes off a horrible experience last Saturday, Marv, when Charlotte played San Antonio. Charlotte Hornets lost that one by 13 points, but it was the play of David Robinson that just created a nightmare for Alonzo. Robinson had 52 points, 14 rebounds, 7 shot blocks, took 28 shots, 20 of 28. Mourning was quoted afterwards as saying, what are you going to do with a 7-foot guy who's shooting his jump shots and making them?
The Knicks 102 and the Hornets 79. Light pressure being shown by Charlotte. Davis lost it.
That's the first mistake Hubert's made all season.
Bennett. That was a three-point attempt. Back comes Rivers. Here's Williams. Herb Williams with that unorthodox shot has the good touch, though. The Knicks now lead 104 to 79. Wingate fouled by Campbell. David Wingate will go to the line. The Knicks are over the foul limit. David Wingate has been very quiet. He has attempted one shot. He's 0 for 1. He did start the game, picked up the early fouls, and then sat for a long time. David Wingate signed as a free agent by the Hornets, 7th year out of Georgetown. Originally a second-round pick of the Sixers. He has made the rounds. 3 years with Philadelphia, 2 with San Antonio, a year with Washington. Now Tony Bennett sits down. Kendall Gill has checked in. The Knicks 104 and the Hornets 81. Full court pressure by Charlotte. And Davis handles it. They double up on Rivers. Hubert Davis. Yes.
That's what Knicks fans have grown accustomed to seeing. When Davis goes up, he makes those jumpers.
And Bogues, sprint by Davis. Trying to get it to Rivers. Wingate on the intercept. Bogues for 3. Bogues this time passing on the 3. Gives to Johnson, and he attempts it. And we get the whistle. Larry Johnson usually does not look for the three-point shot. He's attempted 44, hit 14. That's 31%. Mason called for the foul. Mourning to the line.
Missed his last 14, too, prior to that one. Well, the Charlotte Hornets can only look forward to the next meetings with the Knicks, which will be in Charlotte, in the Hive.
Yes, in the Hive.
And that place does buzz, Marv, as you know. 23,000 show up every night.
Right, and they lead the NBA in attendance once again.
That will be right before the All-Star break later in February.
See Charlotte averaging just under 111 points per game with that passing offense, but tonight only 81 points.
They come in tonight as the 3rd highest scoring team in the NBA.
Gill fouled. So Davis called for the foul, and Kendall Gill will go to the line. Kendall Gill earlier this year out a couple of weeks with a sprained ankle. Last year added 20 pounds. Did not seem to sacrifice any speed. He averaged 20 points a game. Crowd reacts with Eric Anderson, the rookie from Indiana, checking in. This crowd looking for some excitement. They did not get it from the Gorilla making his Madison Square Garden debut. Crowd not accepting the Gorilla. And not much happening of entertainment value because the Knicks have put the Hornets to rest early in the contest, and it's just a matter of playing it out. Rivers was run into. Wingate called for the foul. Eric Anderson has not played the last couple of games. Did make an appearance against the Dallas Mavericks. He had gone 19 straight without seeing any time.
For some reason, Alan Bristow has left his starting 5 here throughout this thrashing.
A little punishment, perhaps?
Well, now he is about to put in some bench players.
Crowd reacts with Anderson getting to that rebound. Davis stopped by Mourning. And here comes Bogues. 4.5 remaining in the game. Gill is fouled. It counts. Rivers called for the foul. And now it looks like Alan Bristow will empty the bench. Kevin Lynch, second-year player out of Minnesota, will come on. Sidney Green, Tony Bennett, Tom Hammonds. Hammonds and Lynch haven't played. Well, Kendall Gill to the line a moment ago. He scored Charlotte's first field goal in the last 5.5 minutes. Completes the three-point play. So the Knicks now lead 106-86. Anderson for Davis on a quick release. Yes.
A beautiful jump shooter has entered the game. That's his second jump shot. Hubert Davis on target.
Gill. And Davis able to control. Putting the move on Bennett. Campbell played by Green. Anderson sets a pick. Crowd wants Anderson to shoot. Through the legs of Williams. Here's Bennett moving on Rivers. Nice play. Tony Bennett with a pretty fadeaway shot. 108-88. The Knicks have had the big lead right throughout. They've led by as many as 28. 2-on-1. Bennett changed his mind and lost it.
No, you're right, Mark. Every time you say Tony Bennett, I think of Tony Bennett. I mean, he should be known as Anthony Bennett out of respect.
That's a good point, then.
Tony Bennett, who sang the anthem here several weeks ago and was loved by everyone with a beautiful performance.
Kevin Lynch called for the foul. Johnny Newman has returned. 3 minutes remaining in the game.
Marv, how do you like my tie? I'm looking for things to talk about. I got a new tie on tonight.
Actually, it's one of the better ones that we've seen in a while. Herb Williams. John, don't feel you have to speak. I mean, you know, you can chat with Al on the side as you'd like. Pass intended for Anderson, recovered by Rivers. Campbell. And rebounded by Kevin Lynch. And Rivers fouled by Green. Timeout taken by the Knicks with 2:28 remaining in the fourth quarter.
After weeknight Nick and Ranger home game.
That's coming up following the Knicks and Charlotte.
And now it's time for the Nestle Sweet Move of the Game, brought to you by Nestle Crunch, Baby Ruth, and Butterfinger Bars. Nestle, the official candy bars of the NBA. And it's Anthony Tony Bennett going in with a running one-hander, nicely delivered. He left his heart in Charlotte, Marv, on his way to New York. Best I could do, I'm sorry.
2:20 remaining in the fourth quarter. Anderson drawing the double team just a moment ago, and that hits. Eric Anderson has been the main source of interest here in the final minutes. And for Anderson, that is only his second field goal in the NBA. He's 2 out of 8 from the floor.
Oh, but what that does for the average, Marv, look at it that way.
Anderson called for the foul. Make that 2 out of 9, so we're talking 22%. And we have the cameras ISO'd on Eric. It's only his 6th NBA game. Eric Anderson, free agent, made the club out of Indiana, and as we've talked about it on other occasions, Pat Riley feels in the right situation, Eric Anderson could be like a Kurt Rambis type player.
Larry Kostoviak's name was brought up also by comparison. He competed very hard in the preseason play and earned the spot.
Very fundamentally sound player. And then it takes all the kidding here down the stretch. Green on the intercept.
I asked Sidney before the game how happy he was with Charlotte. He said he was delighted to be there, but very unhappy that he hasn't been able to contribute, not getting much playing time.
Knicks lead 110, 89. Campbell. Lynch going for the steal, and the foul is called. It's always interesting to me that an 11th or 12th player will take this treatment, and you'll find this everywhere in the NBA, college basketball, and some guys can handle it with a sense of humor, but I can understand if a guy does not accept it that well, because like Eric Anderson works very hard and sees himself someday, obviously, getting playing time, if not here in New York with another club, and it's understandable the fans looking for some fun, but I think a lot of guys have difficulty accepting that type of treatment. I know you did, John, throughout your career.
I couldn't take it, Marv. That's why I dropped out after many years. Greg Butler took it well, though. He enjoyed those years coming off the bench, this couple of years for the Knicks. And he was a happy guy. In fact, he was one of the people that Anderson beat out to be on this roster. And Butler played rather well in training camp. In fact, we were down there, Howie Singer and I, the Wizard, were down there in Charleston, and saw Greg Butler put on a fine 15-point performance one night against Patrick Ewing.
Speaking of Charleston, how about the college of Charleston, led by the one-time St. John's assistant, John Kress, knocking off Georgia Tech. Very impressive.
That was great to see. Because the next game they lost to lower Atlanta State.
These things happen. Shot clock down to 1. Davis got it off.
That one game will make their season, that's for sure.
Here's Bennett for 3. Knicks are one point shy of their season high, 113 against the Boston Celtics. Well, an easy victory for the Knicks over the Charlotte Hornets. Shot clock at 5. Campbell. So that is a season high for the Knicks, 114 points. This is a club that really will blow anyone out, and they've done it tonight.
Knicks allow 93 a game. Let's see if the Hornets can get there.
Well, that really added suspense, John. We tried. That's keeping those viewers in there. Final score, the Knicks 114 and the Hornets 91. So the Knicks with a second straight solid effort. They go to 23-14 and now one full game over the New Jersey Nets. The Hornets have dropped 4 in a row. They're 1 under 500. We'll be right back.
Like John's tie. That's how things went in the fourth quarter. A blowout tonight, 114-91. Knicks over the Charlotte Hornets. The Classic Play is brought to you by Coca-Cola Classic. Enjoy all the Knicks excitement with Coca-Cola Classic. Can't beat the real thing. Classic as in rarity. Eric Anderson had a chance to participate in garbage time. The fans exhorting him to take a shot, any shot. Here's one he launched and hit. Our MSG isolation cameras clearly focused on the ex-Indiana standout. He dropped it in, and the Knicks cruise to a victory tonight. Welcome back to the Garden. Clearly, the Knicks were able to take advantage of a Charlotte Hornets team that was totally flat. But in the first quarter, when they showed what little energy they had, the Knicks showed their offense to be picking up exactly where it left off from Monday's win over the Phoenix Suns. And overall, the Knicks have to feel that the Charlotte Hornets are a team that they should do this to once in a while. And the Knicks have avenged their loss to the Charlotte Hornets in early December here at Madison Square Garden. The NatWest Bank's player of the game tonight was clearly Patrick Ewing. Ewing taking the play inside against Alonzo Mourning, who was really lethargic tonight. 30 points for Patrick Ewing, 13 rebounds. Knicks didn't need much of his play in the second half. A lot of extra minutes for many of the bench regulars. We'll take a look at Doc Rivers looking inside. Patrick Ewing thinking hoop. That is a good sign, something we haven't seen in some time. Back with more post-game stuff in a moment.
My brother, about to become a